The Greatest and the King, The Interchangeable Lives of Elvis and Ali by Larry Webb, written January the 8th, 2008, the 73rd anniversary of Elvis Presley's birth and 9 days before Muhammad Ali's 66th birthday. Note, when the greatest, Muhammad Ali, fought Ken Norton in 1973, he was gifted with a rhinestone-studded boxing robe from the king, Elvis Presley. He was the best the world's ever seen. He on the stage and he in the ring. If you saw him fight or you heard him sing, you know that he was the greatest and he was the king. He was born in Louisville. He died in Memphis. He was born in Tupelo. He won the heavyweight championship. He played the guitar. He fought with his fists. He was the king. He was the greatest. January 8th was his birthday. January 17th his date. Just do the math. 1 plus 7 equal 8. He lived in Graceland. He in LA's Fremont Estates. He was the greatest. He was the king. He wasn't nothing but a hound dog, but he floated like a butterfly. He was born in 1942. He in 1935. He's dead and yet they're both still alive. He was the king. He was the greatest. He earned gold records. He won golden gloves. Priscilla was his bride, Lonnie his love. He's here on earth, and he's up above. He was the greatest. He was the king. He was a black Muslim. He was blue-eyed soul. He went into the army. He refused to go. He stood up for his faith. He gave the boxer a robe. He was the king. He was the greatest. He wore long sideburns. He worked in short pants. He sure could sing. He sure could dance. He sang some gospel. He read the Quran. He was the greatest. He was the king. He'd rope-a-dope. He'd rock and roll. He died young. He lived to be old. He was born in 42. He died at 42 years old. He was the king. He was the greatest. He was the Louisville Lip. He had gyrating hips. He sang in the ghetto. He fought in the Olympics. He starred in hit movies. They saw stars from his hits. He was the greatest. He was the king. He sang in Buck White. He boxed in Kid Galahad. He made Lisa Marie smile. He made Joe Frazier mad. Lisa Marie sang like her father. Layla boxed like her dad. He was the king. He was the greatest. His daughter became Queen of the Ring. His was married to the Pop King, which made her the Princess of Rock and Roll and the Pop Queen, and his daughter the Queen of Pop, Pop, Pop in the Ring. He was the greatest. He was the king. He knew Ed Sullivan. He knew Howard Cosell. He sang on Ed's Really Big Show. He fought on Wide World. He did it my way. He answered the bell. He was the king. He was the greatest. He'd love me tender. He'd knock you out. In his Las Vegas show, in his Las Vegas bout. Of bouts he would brag. He'd roust about. He was the greatest. He was the king. He loved fried banana and peanut butter sandwiches. He loved Sam Cooke. He was so pretty. He had that rock and roll look. He made hit records. With his hits he made the record books. He was the king. He was the greatest. His middle name was Aaron. His last name was Clay. But it takes just one name to recognize him today. Although the world knows his name, most people just say, he was the greatest. He was the king. He was managed by the Colonel, and he by Dundee. He sang like a bird. He stung like a bee. His name was Elvis. His name is Ali. He is the king. He is the greatest. Viva the greatest! Long live the king!